Ambassador Elena Vasquez stood before the Galactic Council for the first time, and she felt like a child presenting to adults. The chamber was massive, with 12 elevated platforms arranged in a circle. Each platform held one of the elder species that ruled this part of the galaxy. They had been exploring space for thousands of years. Humanity had barely managed 80. Elena smoothed her dark blue uniform and took a deep breath. Her tablet showed the agenda for today's meeting. Item 7 was about new trade routes through human territory. She had been dreading this moment for weeks. The High Counselor, a being called Thexalon, gestured with one of his forearms. He was Velkari, an insectoid species with a shimmering green shell and large compound eyes. His voice came through the translator as smooth and condescending. Ambassador Vasquez, we welcome you to full council proceedings. Your probationary period has ended. Earth and its colonies may now participate in all council decisions. Thexalon's mandibles clicked in what might have been a smile. We are pleased to see humanity taking its place among civilized species. Elena nodded politely. Thank you, High Counselor. We are honored to be here. The meeting proceeded through various items. Elena listened carefully, making notes. The council discussed mining rights in the Andromeda sector, a border dispute between two species she had never heard of, and updates on a scientific expedition to a newly discovered nebula. Finally, they reached Item 7. A holographic display appeared in the center of the chamber showing Earth's solar system. Blue lines traced proposed shipping routes through human space. The routes passed close to Earth, Mars, and directly through the asteroid belt. Counselor Varix, a tall reptilian being with silver scales, spoke first. The proposed routes would cut travel time between the outer rim and the core worlds by 30%. We see no issues with the proposal. Elena stood up. High Counselor, if I may speak. Thexalon waved a hand. Of course, Ambassador. Elena activated her own display. Red zones appeared around Earth, Mars, and sections of the asteroid belt. We appreciate the Council's interest in using routes through our system. However, we must request that all military vessels avoid these designated areas. Additionally, we require that all ships, military or civilian, register with Earth traffic control before entering the Sol system. There was a moment of silence. Then Counselor Bereth, a floating jellyfish-like creature in a tank of purple liquid, made a sound like bubbling laughter. Register? Bereth's translator carried amusement. Ambassador, with respect, your species has been in space for less than a century. What possible reason would we have to register with you? Elena kept her voice calm. For safety reasons, Counselor. We have defensive systems throughout the Sol system. They are automated and will respond to unregistered vessels as potential threats. More laughter rippled through the chamber. Even the usually stoic Counselor Kriath, an avian being with brilliant blue feathers, seemed to suppress what might have been a chuckle. Thexalon leaned forward on his platform. Ambassador Vasquez, we understand that humanity is concerned about security. This is natural for a young species, but you must understand the Council's combined fleets number in the hundreds of thousands. Our military technology has been refined over millennia. Your concerns, while touching, are unnecessary. Elena felt heat rising in her cheeks. She pulled up another file on her tablet. High Counselor, I have prepared a detailed briefing on our defensive capabilities. If you would review it, you would understand why we are making this request. That won't be necessary, Varix said, waving a clawed hand dismissively. We have studied your technology, Ambassador. Kinetic weapons, nuclear fission, primitive propulsion systems. You are perhaps 200 years behind our least advanced member species. That assessment is incorrect, Elena said, her voice sharper now. Our technology has developed rapidly in the past 50 years. We have systems in place that... Ambassador, Thexalon interrupted, his tone now carrying a hint of irritation. We do not wish to insult you, but you must see reason. The Council has been navigating space lanes for thousands of years. We have encountered and defeated threats that would terrify your entire species. Your little system of satellites and missile platforms poses no concern to us. Elena took a breath and tried again.
I am not suggesting that you fear us.
I am trying to prevent an accident. Our automated systems will engage unauthorized vessels. People could be hurt. Lives could be lost. All I am asking is that you register before entering our space. This is absurd, said Counselor Zephon, a creature made of living crystal that chimed when it spoke. We are being asked to bow to the demands of a species that still uses gunpowder-based weapons. We don't use gunpowder, Elena said quietly. Not anymore, but no one was listening. The council members were conferring among themselves, their translators creating a chaos of overlapping voices. Thexalon called for order. We will now vote on the proposal to establish trade routes through human space without restrictions. High Counselor, please, Elena said, standing again. At least consider a compromise. Let us provide escorts for your ships. Let us help you navigate safely through our defensive perimeters. We have clearly marked zones that must be avoided. All in favor? Thexalon said, ignoring her. 11 hands, claws, tentacles, and appendages rose. Only Kriath abstained, his feathered head tilted as he studied Elena with intelligent eyes. The measure passes, Thexalon declared. Unrestricted passage through the Sol system is hereby granted to all council vessels. Ambassador Vasquez, your concerns are noted for the record, but they are ultimately unfounded. Perhaps in a few centuries, when humanity has matured, you will understand why. Elena stood in the center of the chamber, surrounded by beings who saw her as nothing more than a worried child. She gathered her materials slowly, her hand steady despite the frustration burning in her chest. As she prepared to leave, Kriath descended from his platform and approached her. Up close, he was taller than she expected, his feathers rustling with each movement. Ambassador, he said quietly, why did you abstain from the vote? His large eyes blinked slowly. Because you were genuinely afraid. Not for yourself, but for us. I have lived long enough to know that such fear should not be ignored, even if I do not understand its source. Elena looked up at him. Thank you, Counselor. I hope we are both worried for nothing. As do I, Kriath said. But if you are not, I hope your systems can distinguish between hostile vessels and foolish ones. He walked away, leaving Elena alone in the emptying chamber. Above her, through the transparent dome, she could see stars. Somewhere out there, Earth was waiting. She thought of the defense grid, the watching satellites, the patient AI systems waiting for targets to identify. She pulled out her personal communicator and sent a message to Earth Defense Command. They refused to listen. They will not register. Multiple fleets likely inbound. Prepare for automated response protocols. The reply came back immediately. Understood. Grid is active. We will try to minimize damage. Elena closed her eyes. We tried to warn you, she whispered to the empty chamber. We really tried. As she walked out, she passed a group of junior diplomats from various species. They were laughing, sharing the already viral video of her presentation. One of them imitated her serious expression, while another made exaggerated warnings about dangerous human weapons. Elena kept walking. In 72 hours, 3 council fleets would enter the Sol system unannounced. In 72 hours, the galaxy would learn that humanity's warnings had been completely serious. And by then, it would be far too late to laugh. The video spread across the galactic network within hours. Someone had recorded Elena's presentation and edited it for maximum comedy. They added dramatic music when she warned about Earth's defenses, then cut to close-ups of council members trying not to laugh. The final shot showed Thexalon's mandibles clicking in barely suppressed amusement. The caption read, Humans warn mighty galactic council about their dangerous weapons. Watch what happens next. Within 2 days, the video had been viewed 3 billion times across 70 different species networks. Everyone thought it was hilarious. On the Velkari homeworld, Thexalon gave an interview to the most popular news network. The host, a younger Velkari named Jexri, could barely maintain professional composure. High Counselor, is it true that the humans actually believed they could threaten council vessels? Jexri asked. Thexalon settled his bulk into the specialized chair. They did not threaten us exactly. They warned us. Like a child warning an adult about the monster under the bed. It was quite endearing, actually. But their technology is primitive, correct? Extremely so, Thexalon confirmed. They still use combustion-based weapons in many of their systems. Their fastest ships cannot exceed light speed by more than a factor of 3. They have nuclear fission, but their fusion technology is barely functional. In comparison, we mastered antimatter reactors 4,000 years ago. Jexri clicked his mandibles in amusement. And yet they thought they could stop a council fleet? I believe they genuinely think their defensive systems are impressive, Thexalon said. We must remember they have no frame of reference. They have never seen truly advanced military technology. To them, their little satellites and missile platforms seemed formidable. The interview went viral too. By the end of the week, human defensive systems had become a galactic joke. Comedians made entire routines about it. Merchandise appeared showing cartoons of humans shaking their fists at massive alien warships. But not everyone was laughing. In his quarters on the council station, Kriath watched the news coverage with growing unease. He had served as a military commander before becoming a counselor. He had fought in 3 wars and survived 2 assassination attempts. He knew the look of genuine fear, and that was what he had seen in Ambassador Vasquez's eyes. She had not been posturing. She had not been exaggerating for political gain. She had been trying to prevent something terrible. Kriath pulled up the data package Elena had tried to present. The council had rejected it without review, but it had been logged into the system. He began reading. The more he read, the more confused he became. The data was heavily encrypted and fragmented. Large sections had been redacted by human intelligence services. What remained seemed impossible. Energy signatures that should not exist. Materials science advances that would require centuries of development. Weapon platforms numbering in the thousands. Either the humans were lying on a spectacular scale, or something very strange was happening in the Sol system. Kriath sent a private message to Elena. Ambassador, I have reviewed your data. I have questions. May we speak privately? The reply came 20 minutes later. Of course, Counselor. But please hurry. 3 fleets have already departed for Earth. Kriath felt his feathers stand on end. 3 fleets? For what purpose? Goodwill missions, Elena replied, and to prove that our warnings were unfounded. The Velkari, the Zephyri, and the Trelloc have all sent ships. None have registered with Earth traffic control. We have been sending automated warnings, but they are being ignored. How many ships total? 47 Velkari vessels, 31 Zephyri, 23 Trelloc. They are treating this as a joke, Counselor, a way to mock humanity's fear. Kriath stood and paced his quarters. When will they arrive? The Velkari fleet will reach the outer system in 36 hours. The others will arrive within 6 hours after that. I will contact them immediately, Kriath said. I will tell them to register. Thank you, Counselor. I hope they listen to you. They certainly did not listen to us. Kriath spent the next hour trying to reach the fleet commanders. The Velkari commander, a young officer named Thexkor, actually laughed when Kriath suggested registering with human traffic control. With respect, Counselor, my uncle specifically sent me on this mission to demonstrate that the humans are overreacting. I have orders to ignore their registration demands and proceed directly to Earth orbit. It will be a valuable lesson in reality for them. Captain, I have concerns about... There is nothing to be concerned about, Counselor. My flagship alone could defeat everything the humans have. We will be fine. This will be good for a laugh. The other fleet commanders responded similarly. They thought Kriath was being overly cautious. Some suggested he had grown soft in his old age. Back in the council chambers, several members had gathered informally to watch the approaching fleets. Someone had set up a betting pool. I wager 50 credits the humans do not even detect the Velkari fleet until it reaches Jupiter, said Bereth, bubbles of laughter rising through its tank. I will take that bet, said Varix. I believe they will detect them at Saturn. Their primitive radar systems extend that far. Neither of you gives them enough credit, Zephon chimed musically. Their telescopes work reasonably well. They will likely spot the fleets when they pass Uranus. More laughter, more bets. Someone suggested they watch the encounter live when the fleets arrived. Elena watched the gathering from the diplomatic observation gallery. She had tried again to reach the council leaders, but no one would see her. They were too busy being entertained. She received another message from Earth Defense Command. Velkari fleet detected. Current position, Kuiper Belt, approximately 5 billion kilometers from Earth. They crossed detection threshold 4 days ago. We have been tracking them since they left their staging area. Elena closed her eyes. 4 days ago. The humans had seen them coming long before they even reached human space. She typed back, "Can you stop them without casualties?" The response took a minute. "We will try. But if they fire on our platforms or refuse to stand down after final warnings, we will have no choice. The automated systems will respond according to protocol. How much damage can you do?" Another pause. Then, "We would rather not answer that question, Ambassador. Let us hope they listen to reason." In the council chamber, the betting pool had grown. 42 council members and staff had placed wagers on various aspects of the encounter. How close would the humans let the fleets approach? Would the humans send their own ships to intercept? Would anyone actually register? Thexlon held court in the center of it all, telling stories of his nephew Thexcor's previous military achievements. The boy is hot-headed, he admitted, but skilled. He will handle this perfectly. Elena sent one final message to Captain Thexcor. Captain, I am begging you to register with Earth Traffic Control. You're entering an active defense zone. Our automated systems will respond. Please, for the safety of your crew, just register. Thexcor's reply was brief. Thank you for your concern, Ambassador. But we know what we are doing. Elena looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Velkari fleet was approaching Earth. In approximately 30 hours, they would cross into what humans called the Red Zone, and then everyone would stop laughing. She sent one last message to Earth. I tried everything. They will not listen. The response came immediately. We know. Grid status active. All platforms armed. AI systems ready. We gave them every chance. Elena sat down and waited. There was nothing left to do but watch the greatest joke in galactic history turn into something very different. The countdown had begun. Captain Thexcor stood on the bridge of the Pride of Empire, the flagship of the Velkari Expeditionary Fleet. Through the viewing screen, he could see the distant point of light that was Sol, the human star. They had just passed the orbit of Pluto. Status report, Thexcor commanded. His sensor officer chittered a response. All 47 vessels accounted for, Captain. Formation is tight. No anomalies detected. And the humans? We have received 47 automated warnings since entering the system. All identical. They claim we are in restricted space and must register immediately. The officer's mandibles clicked in amusement. Shall I respond? Ignore them, Thexcor said. Continue on course for Earth. Best speed. The warnings had started the moment they crossed some invisible line near the system's edge. Automated messages in decent Velkari translation, polite but firm. This is Earth Traffic Control. You are entering the Sol system. Please transmit identification codes and receive navigation clearance. Thexcor found it charming. Like a child playing at being a guard, he thought of his uncle back at the council, watching this unfold. This mission would cement his reputation, the captain who called humanity's bluff. Distance to Neptune? He asked. Passing Neptune orbital path in 3 minutes, navigation reported. As they crossed that threshold, something changed on the sensor displays. Captain, I am detecting unusual readings, the sensor officer said, his voice losing its amused tone. What kind of readings? Energy signatures. Very large ones. I am counting. Stand by. The officer's claws moved rapidly across his console. 217 distinct power sources. They were not there a moment ago. They were cloaked? Thexcor asked, leaning forward. No, sir. They were dormant. They just activated. The energy output is significant, much higher than expected for human technology. Thexcor felt the first hint of unease. Could they be weapons platforms? Possibly. But the power reading suggests something far more advanced than intelligence reports indicated. These are not simple missile batteries. Show me. The main display changed, showing a tactical map of the outer solar system. Red dots appeared like a rash, hundreds of them all around the fleet. More dots appeared with each passing second. They are everywhere, the weapons officer said quietly. An automated message came through again, but this time the tone was different. Harder. This is Earth Traffic Control. You have entered restricted space without authorization. You are now in an active defense zone. This is your 48th warning. Register immediately or turn back. Further advance will be considered a hostile act. Continue course, Thexcor ordered, but his voice lacked confidence now. They passed Uranus. More platforms activated. The fleet's sensors were now tracking over 500 distinct power sources. Captain, recommend we halt advance, his tactical officer said. Something is wrong. These readings do not match any intelligence data we have on human capabilities. We will not be intimidated by a light show, Thexcor said, but he was beginning to wonder if his uncle had made a mistake. They approached Jupiter. The largest planet in the human system loomed on the displays, its great red spot visible even from this distance. That was when the electromagnetic pulse hit. Every system on every ship went haywire simultaneously. Displays flickered. Navigation system spun. Weapons targeting went completely offline. The pulse had been precisely calibrated, powerful enough to disrupt but not destroy. Report! Thexcor shouted over the alarm klaxons. Massive EMP strike, source unknown. His technical officer yelled back. Backup systems engaging. We will have full function restored in approximately 60 seconds. But they did not have 60 seconds. The first kinetic round hit the escort vessel Dawn's Pride at approximately 30% of light speed. The ship simply ceased to exist. One moment it was there on sensors. The next there was only an expanding cloud of superheated plasma. 2 more escort ships died in the next 5 seconds. No warning. No chance to defend. Just sudden absolute destruction. Evasive maneuvers. Thexcor screamed. Return fire. Weapons system still offline. His weapons officer reported, panic clear in his voice. I cannot target anything. How is this possible? They are supposed to be primitive. A calm, automated voice filled the bridge. It spoke perfect Velkari. This is Earth Defense Network. You have violated restricted space. You have ignored 49 warnings. 3 of your vessels fired upon our platforms. We have responded with minimal force. Stand down immediately or you will be destroyed. This is your final warning. 3 ships fired? Thexcor looked at his weapons officer. Did we fire? No, sir. But the escorts may have automated systems that engaged when they detected target locks. Target locks? They locked weapons on us? Sir, we are being targeted by over 300 platforms right now. They have had firing solutions on us since we passed Neptune. Thexcor felt his inner stomach clench. They had been in crosshairs for hours and never knew it. Open a channel. All frequencies. I want to speak to whoever is in control. Channel open, sir. This is Captain Thexcor of the Velkari fleet. We mean no harm. We are on a peaceful mission. There has been a misunderstanding. The response came immediately. Captain, you were warned 50 times. You entered restricted space without authorization. You refused to register. Your vessels opened fire on our platforms. These are not the actions of a peaceful mission. Our escorts acted on automated protocols. It was not intentional aggression. And our response was equally automated, Captain. We tried to warn you. Thexcor struggled to find words. We did not believe you could do this. We know. The voice almost sounded sad. Ambassador Vasquez told us you would not listen. Now you understand why she was worried. On the tactical display, Thexcor watched as more and more platforms came online. The number was now over 1,500 and still climbing. What are your demands? He asked quietly. Shut down all weapon systems. Shut down all tactical sensors. Transmit your identification codes. You and your fleet will be escorted to Mars Orbital Station, where you will be held until this matter is resolved. No one else needs to die today, Captain. And if I refuse? There was a pause. Please do not refuse. Thexcor looked at his bridge crew. Young officers, skilled and brave, who had thought this would be an easy mission. A joke. Now 3 ships were gone, and they were completely at the mercy of a species they had mocked. Weapons officer, shut down all systems. Navigation, transmit our codes. To all ship, stand down. Full surrender. Within minutes, small human vessels appeared on sensors. They were fast, impossibly fast, and bristled with weapons that physics said should not work. They surrounded the Velkari fleet like wolves circling wounded prey. A new voice came over the channel. Human this time, speaking through a translator. Captain Thexcor, this is Commander Chen of the Earth Defense Force. My ships will escort you to Mars. Do not deviate from the course we provide. Do not attempt to communicate with your homeworld. Do not reactivate any systems without permission. Am I clear? Perfectly clear, Commander. Good. For what it is worth, Captain, I am sorry this happened. We really did try to warn you. As the fleet began its humiliating journey under human escort, Thexcor sent a single encrypted message to his uncle. It contained only sensor data from the encounter and a brief text. Uncle, the humans were not joking. We never stood a chance. They destroyed 3 ships in seconds. Their technology is far beyond our understanding. Send help. Or better yet, send an apology. Far across the system, the other 2 Goodwill fleets were experiencing similar defeats. The Zephyri fleet had been disabled by directed energy weapons that melted their engine cores. The Trelok fleet had found itself trapped in what human scientists called a weaponized gravity well, unable to move in any direction. Not a single human casualty. Not a single human ship damaged. The automated defense grid had handled everything alone, And somewhere on Earth, in a command center buried deep underground, military officers watched their screens and felt no joy in the victory. They had tried to warn them. They had tried so hard to prevent this. Now the galaxy would learn what humanity had become, and that lesson had been written in the wreckage of ships whose crews had refused to listen. The emergency session of the Galactic Council convened exactly 8 hours after the first Velkari ship was destroyed. The chamber that had been filled with laughter 3 days ago was now deadly silent. Thexlon sat on his platform, his entire body rigid with shock. His compound eyes were fixed on the central display, which showed sensor data from his nephew's fleet. The data looped continuously, showing the moment when 3 ships simply vanished from existence. Other council members watched their own displays, reviewing similar footage from the Zephyri and Trello K encounters. The silence stretched on, broken only by the quiet sounds of breathing, bubbling, and the occasional crystalline chime. Elena Vasquez stood in the center of the chamber. She wore the same uniform she had worn 3 days ago, but now no one looked at her with amusement. Several council members would not meet her eyes at all. "Ambassador," Kriath said quietly, "perhaps you could explain what happened." Elena nodded. She activated her own display. 3 fleets entered the Sol system without registering. Each fleet received automated warnings beginning at the Kuiper Belt. All warnings were ignored. The fleets continued into progressively restricted zones. When they entered what we call the red zone, our automated defense platforms activated. "Automated?" Breath asked, its voice lacking all of its earlier humor. "No humans controlled these weapons?" "No humans fired a single shot," Elena confirmed. "Everything you witnessed was done by our AI defense network. It has standing orders to protect Earth and human colonies. When vessels enter restricted space without authorization and ignore warnings, the system responds according to established protocols." She pulled up new images. The council members leaned forward, staring at what appeared to be millions of small objects scattered throughout the human system. "This is our defensive grid. It consists of approximately 12 million autonomous platforms positioned throughout the Sol system. They range from simple sensor buoys to advanced weapons emplacements. The network extends beyond the Kuiper Belt and can track objects entering the system from any direction." 12 million, Zephon chimed softly. "How is this possible? Our intelligence suggested you had perhaps a few thousand." "Your intelligence was based on what you could see," Elena said. "Most of our platforms are inactive unless needed. They have minimal power signatures when dormant. We did not try to hide them. We simply did not advertise our full capabilities." Varix leaned forward, his silver scales catching the light. "You destroyed 3 ships in seconds, with weapons that moved at 30% light speed. Our intelligence said you had not achieved such technology." Elena took a breath before answering. "High Counselor, with respect, your intelligence was wrong about many things." She pulled up a new display. It showed a timeline of human technological development. The line was relatively flat until about 50 years ago. Then it shot upward at an impossible angle. In the early 21st century, humanity faced extinction. Climate change, resource depletion, war. We were on the edge of destroying ourselves. But we did not die. We unified. For the first time in our history, every human nation worked toward a common goal: survival. She advanced the display. We solved fusion power in 2089. We established our first Mars colony in 2095. We cracked quantum computing in 2103. We developed AI systems far beyond anything we had imagined. And we did it all in secret because we knew we were not alone in the galaxy." "You knew about us?" Thexlon asked, his voice hollow. "How long?" "We detected your signals in 2067, Elena said. "We spent 15 years just listening before we announced ourselves. We learned your languages. We studied your wars. We watched what happened to species that joined the Council from positions of weakness." She let that sink in. Several council members shifted uncomfortably. We saw the Trellmore enslaved by the Krath. We watched the Velthari lose their homeworld in a mining dispute. We observed 3 smaller species simply disappear from council records. We understood that space was not peaceful, that civilizations could be cruel, that we needed to be strong. Elena advanced to another slide. So we built defenses. We used resources from our asteroid belt. We established automated manufacturing on our moons. We developed weapons that could defend against threats we hoped we would never face. And we did it all because we learned from history. We learned from our own mistakes and from yours. This is... Breath bubbled quietly. This is not the behavior of a primitive species. We are not primitive, Elena said firmly. We are adaptive. We are survivors, and we will never be vulnerable again, Thexelon finally spoke. His voice was quiet, stripped of all arrogance. May I speak to my nephew? Elena nodded. Of course, High Counselor. A communication channel opened. Captain Thexcor's face appeared on the display. He looked exhausted, his carapace dulled by stress. Uncle, he said softly. Thexcor, are you harmed? Is your crew safe? We are fine, Uncle. The humans have treated us well. Too well, perhaps. They gave us food, medical attention. They apologized for destroying our escorts. Apologized, Uncle, after we invaded their space. Thexelon's mandibles trembled. Tell the Council what happened. Tell them everything. Thexcor took a moment before speaking. We entered their system with arrogance. We ignored their warnings because we thought they were bluffing. But they detected us before we even reached the outer planets. They knew our formation, our weapons, our communications protocols. When we crossed into their red zone, they hit us with an electromagnetic pulse that disabled every system on every ship simultaneously. He paused, struggling with the memory. Then they killed 3 ships. Just erased them. And we could do nothing. Our weapons were offline. They had infiltrated our computer networks. They knew everything about us and we knew nothing about them. The weapons, Varric said. How fast were they? The kinetic rounds traveled at 30% light speed. The targeting was perfect. 3 direct hits in 5 seconds. Our escorts had no chance to evade. Thexcor looked directly at his uncle. Uncle, they were toying with us. If they had wanted to destroy the entire fleet, we would all be dead. They chose to disable us instead. They showed mercy we did not deserve. Counselor Kreath spoke up. Captain, you said they infiltrated your networks. How quickly? Seconds. Maybe less. Their AI systems broke through our security like it was not even there. They locked out our weapons, accessed our communications, read our orders. Commander Chen told me they knew we were coming 2 days before we entered the system. They could have destroyed us at any point but chose to give us chances to turn back. And the other fleets? Zephan asked quietly. Similar reports, Elena said. The Zafari fleet was disabled by directed energy weapons. The Trelloc fleet experienced what our scientists call gravitational manipulation. All 3 encounters lasted less than 10 minutes. No human casualties. No human ships even needed to engage. The automated grid handled everything. The weight of that statement pressed down on the chamber. An automated system had defeated 3 council fleets without human intervention. What else do you have? Breath asked, and there was fear in its translated voice. What other weapons? Elena hesitated. I would prefer not to detail our full capabilities. Ambassador, please, Kreath said. We need to understand what we are dealing with. Elena sighed. Fine, we have antimatter mines. Quantum entanglement communication that allows instant coordination across the entire system. AI systems that can hack your networks faster than your organic minds can think. Mass drivers that can accelerate projectiles to near light speeds. Directed energy weapons that can melt ship hulls from millions of kilometers away. And yes, we have prototypes of technology you have not seen yet. Technology we hope we never need to use. The chamber was silent again. Finally, Thexelon spoke. His voice was broken. Why? He asked. Why did you build all this? If you wanted to be safe, why not just stay hidden? Elena looked at him with something like pity. Because hiding is not living, High Counselor. We wanted to join the galaxy. To trade, to learn, to share. But we wanted to do it as equals, not as vassals. We came to you from a position of strength so that we would never be taken advantage of. We built these defenses not to attack anyone, but to ensure no one could attack us. She paused. We tried to warn you. We told you about our capabilities. We begged you to register. We gave you every chance to avoid this. But you would not listen. You thought we were children. You laughed at us. Tears were streaming down her face now, and she did not bother to wipe them away. Do you understand? We did not want this. We never wanted to hurt anyone. All we wanted was respect. And now 3 ships are destroyed and crews are dead. And it all could have been prevented if you had just listened. Around the chamber, several council members were displaying their own species equivalents of crying. Crystalline tears from Zephan. Bubbles of distress from Breath. Even Thexelon's eyes were wet. What are we? Kreath asked softly. You called yourself survivors. What does that make us? Elena looked at him. You are the same as us, Counselor. You are survivors too. You have lasted thousands of years in a dangerous galaxy. We respect that. We just wanted you to respect us in return. She closed her displays. My government has authorized me to release all captured ships and crews. They will be provided with supplies and safe escort out of the Sol system. 1 month after the incident, Ambassador Elena Vasquez returned to the Galactic Council chambers. This time, the atmosphere was completely different. As she walked to the central speaking platform, council members nodded respectfully. Several rose from their platforms in traditional gestures of honor. High Counselor Thexelon waited until she reached the center before speaking. Ambassador Vasquez, on behalf of the Galactic Council, I offer formal apology for our actions. We dismissed your warnings. We mocked your concerns. We violated your space. 3 ships were lost and 47 crew members died because of our arrogance. There are no words adequate to express our regret. Elena nodded. The Council's apology is accepted. My government wishes to move forward in a spirit of cooperation and mutual respect. We have prepared reparations. Thexelon continued. Financial compensation for the resources expended in defending your system. Technology exchanges. Preferential trade status. That is generous, High Counselor, but unnecessary. We do not seek to profit from this tragedy. We seek only recognition of our sovereignty and assurance that our space will be respected. Thexelon's mandibles clicked softly. You have both, Ambassador. The Council has unanimously voted to grant humanity full territorial autonomy over the Sol system and all human colonies. All vessels, military or civilian, must register with Earth Traffic Control before entering your space. No exceptions. These terms are now part of Council law. Elena allowed herself a small smile. Thank you, High Counselor. That is all we ever wanted. Counselor Kriath descended from his platform and approached. Ambassador, may I speak? Of course, Counselor. I have a question that many of us share. Why did you build such extensive defenses? The galaxy has been relatively peaceful for 2 centuries. What did you fear? Elena looked up at him. We feared what we heard, Counselor. We spent 15 years listening to your communications before we revealed ourselves. In that time, we learned about 17 wars, 5 species rendered extinct, and countless smaller conflicts. We heard about species conquered and assimilated. We learned that peace in the galaxy is maintained through strength, not goodwill. She gestured to the Council platforms. Every species here has weapons. Every species maintains fleets. Why should humanity be different? Why should we trust strangers to protect us? You could have joined us and relied on Council protection, Breath suggested. Could we? Elena asked quietly. The Trellmore trusted the Council. Where are they now? The Velthari thought they were protected. Who defended their homeworld when the mining corporations came? We learned that in this galaxy you protect yourself or you die. Varric shifted on his platform. You speak as if we are enemies, Ambassador. We are not. I know that now, Elena said. But when we first detected your signals, we did not know anything. We were alone, vulnerable, and terrified. We had just barely survived destroying ourselves. The thought of facing an entire galaxy of unknown powers was overwhelming. So we did the only thing we could. We prepared. She pulled up a display showing Earth as it had been 50 years ago, scarred by climate disasters and war. Then she showed Earth now green and thriving. We almost killed ourselves fighting over scraps. When we unified, we swore we would never be that vulnerable again. Every nation, every culture, every human agreed on one thing. We would survive. Not as scattered tribes fighting each other, but as one species standing together. And your technology developed so quickly because of this unity? Zephon asked. Exactly. When humans stop fighting each other, we are capable of incredible things. We took all the resources we had wasted on conflicts and redirected them to survival. Research, development, construction. We built the defensive grid over 30 years using resources from the asteroid belt. It was the largest construction project in human history, and everyone contributed. Kriath nodded slowly. You mentioned you listened to our communications. What else did you learn? Elena hesitated, then decided on honesty. We learned your weaknesses, Counselor. We studied your military tactics, your computer systems, your cultural blind spots. We knew that if we joined the Council, there might be species who would try to exploit us. So we made sure that would be impossible. You planned for war even while seeking peace, Thexelon observed. We planned for survival, Elena corrected. There is a difference. We had no intention of attacking anyone, but we were determined that no one would attack us successfully. She changed the display to show sensor footage from the recent encounters. When your fleets entered our space, our systems could have destroyed them all within minutes. But we did not want death. We wanted understanding. Every shot we fired was calculated to disable, not destroy. Every action was designed to show our strength while minimizing casualties. 47 crew members still died. Thexlon said softly. Yes. And we mourn them. They died because they fired on our platforms. Our automated systems responded to direct attack. But we saved over 4,000 others who could have died. That was a choice, High Counselor. We chose mercy. The chamber was quiet as the council members absorbed this. They had faced an enemy who could have annihilated them but chose restraint instead. Counselor Kriath spoke again. Ambassador, my government has asked me to extend an offer. We would like human military observers to join our peacekeeping forces. Your perspective on defense and security would be valuable. Elena raised an eyebrow. You trust us with such a role? You have earned trust, Kriath said simply. You had overwhelming power and used it with restraint. You could have humiliated us but chose dignity instead. You seek strength not for conquest but for protection. These are qualities we value in peacekeepers. I will convey the offer to my government, Elena said. I believe they will be honored. More offers came throughout the day. Trade agreements, cultural exchanges, scientific collaboration, technology sharing. The galaxy had spent a month reassessing everything they thought they knew about humanity. And now they were eager to build bridges. Finally, as the session ended, Thexlon approached Elena privately. Ambassador, may I ask you something personal? Of course. When you stood here a month ago trying to warn us, what were you thinking? Elena considered the question. I was thinking about my daughter. She is 7 years old. She lives on Mars with her father. When I issued those warnings, I was not thinking about politics or diplomacy. I was thinking that if your fleets attacked, my daughter might die. That is why I was so insistent. That is why I seemed afraid. Because I was afraid. Not for myself. For everyone I loved. Thexlon's compound eyes glistened. I have 3 children. I understand. I am sorry I did not listen. You are listening now, Elena said gently. That is what matters. 3 days later, Elena returned to Earth. As her shuttle descended through the atmosphere, she looked up at the sky. Somewhere up there, invisible to the naked eye, millions of defensive platforms waited. Silent. Patient. Ready. She landed at her home in Geneva and found her daughter waiting with her father. The girl ran to her and Elena scooped her up, holding her tight. Mommy, everyone at school says you are a hero, her daughter said. Elena laughed softly. I am not a hero, sweetheart. I just did my job. They say you stopped a war. I helped prevent one, Elena corrected. But the real heroes are the people who built our defenses. The engineers, the scientists, the workers. They made us safe. That night, Elena stood in her garden and looked up at the stars. Messages were flooding in from across human space. Congratulations. Thank yous. Celebrations. Humanity had taken its place among the galactic powers, and they had done it on their own terms. But Elena felt no triumph. Only relief. They were safe. Her daughter was safe. Earth was safe. That was all that mattered. Far across the galaxy, word spread quickly. The species that had been laughed at, dismissed as primitive, had defeated 3 council fleets without breaking a sweat. More importantly, they had shown mercy when they could have shown vengeance. Within a year, do not anger the humans became a common saying among spacefaring species. Not because humans were aggressive, but because they were so thoroughly prepared for aggression. Trade with Earth flourished. Human technology, especially in defense and AI, became highly sought after, but humanity never shared their most advanced systems. Some secrets they decided were worth keeping. The defensive grid continued to grow. New platforms were added monthly. The network expanded to cover every human colony, not as weapons of war, but as shields of peace. And when 15 years later a hostile force from outside council space attacked the border worlds, it was human defensive systems that held the line. It was human military observers who coordinated the counterattack. It was human mercy that allowed the defeated enemy to surrender rather than be destroyed. The galaxy learned 2 things about humanity that never changed. First, humans meant what they said. Their warnings were real. Their capabilities were genuine. Their promises were kept. Second, humans preferred peace but were exceptionally good at war. They would rather talk than fight. But if forced to fight, they would win. In the end, humanity got what they always wanted: not dominance, not submission, not fear, just respect. And in a galaxy where respect was earned through strength, humanity had proven they possessed both.